You're listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe of Torch in Houston, Texas. This is the Jewish Inspiration Podcast.
Welcome back. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Jewish Inspiration Podcast. We are in the middle of page 846 in the Treasure for Life edition of the Orchot Tzaddikim, Ways of the Righteous, in the middle of the Gate of Repentance. So as we mentioned previously, there are many factors in repentance that need to be clarified. Today we're going to continue with some of those clarifications. Of the 24 things that we previously mentioned, there's 5 specific things that the transgressor cannot perform a complete repentance from. What are they? Because they are sins that are between man and his fellow. Since you did it behind your friend's back, your friend doesn't even know to forgive you. All right, so that's a big problem. What are those 5 things? So if someone curses a populace, an entire community, all of those people, that synagogue, whatever it is, those people, someone who does that, there's no individual that you can go ask forgiveness from. So all of those people essentially are those who are affected and whose forgiveness one must request. Number 2, v'hacholik im ganov, ki hu choshev she'ein zo gnevo, ki ani lo ganavti. V'afilu im yirtze losho lahachzir, lemi yachzir. Ki hu einu yodea mimi ganav haganov, ve'od ki hu machzik yedei haganov u'machti oso. Sharing stolen goods with a thief. So imagine this, you're the investor, you're the silent investor in the thievery of someone who goes and breaks into people's homes. You don't know which house he's breaking into. You don't know whose purse he's pickpocketing. You don't know. You just know that you're the silent partner there, and now you want to return that stolen goods, that stolen item, and you don't have to return it because you don't know who was stolen from. So that's also. Number 3, you find something, the Torah commands us that if you find something, you must announce it so that the person who lost it should be able to come and reclaim it. So, for example, this is something that happens in our neighborhood. Right in front of my house, there are about several hundred children that walk by on a daily basis. On Shabbos, it's even more. All right, little boys, little girls, older, younger, parents, strollers, you name it. It happens many times that, they're walking with a stroller, they don't notice, and a pacifier falls out, or a baby bottle falls out, or a hat, or whatever it may be, a scarf. We don't have scarves in Houston, but something like that, it falls out, and you have no idea. I come out there Shabbos afternoon when hundreds of people already walked by, and I see this little pacifier on the floor. What am I supposed to do with it? Right? So there's a special mitzvah in the Torah to return a lost object. Now, what happens if you don't return it? You bring it into your house, and you just forget about this mitzvah. And now you're not using it, but you're not either returning it. This is problematic. You have to return a lost object. Not return it per se, because what's if you can't find the owner? But you have to announce it. Right? Since a person may not have announced this item, so now he doesn't know who the owner is, he definitely doesn't know who to ask forgiveness from. Aniyim, one who eats the food of a pauper, Yisomim v'almanos, or the food of orphans and widows, Elu b'nei adam umlolim him. These are such unfortunate people. Ve'enam yiduim umufursamim v'golim. They are not known, and who wander from village to village, me'ir le'ir, from city to city. V'zeh ha'ochel einu yodeh shel mihu sheyachzir lo. He doesn't know. Imagine someone goes into the food pantry where poor people come to the community to collect money, charity. This is where they feed them from. This is a person stole food from that food pantry. Heaven forbid. Who are you returning it to? Those people now weren't properly fed in the city. Now they have to go elsewhere to find food. So that's also something that a person has to be extremely cautious of. V'yesh omrim showed bidalis lashon dochak. It uses the term shor, which really should be showed, which is oppression, oppressing others. Perush shehu dochek elu ha'aniyim b'chov shehem chayovim lo ad shem machlitim lo karkosem o metaltalin shelohem bepochos mishavyom. So he says it presses people who are poor. They need food, but now they don't have food. So he presses on them to pay back what they owe from the, let's say, Houston has a loan organization. What's the Houston Free Loan Association, HFLA. Imagine someone owes money. And now they're not getting money. They're not able to earn their money. You're not paying them on time, whatever it may be. And now they have to sell their property to sustain their family. They have to sell their home for less than its value. They have to sell their car for less than its value because I just need to put food on my table. And how does this come? It comes from you not doing what you're responsible to do to help them. Ve'eno choshev sheyesh b'zeh chet, ki hu omer sheli ani notel. He's saying to himself, I don't owe anybody anything, right? A person has to be careful about that. And the fifth item is ve'hamekabel shochad lahatos din. Someone who takes a bribe in order to pervert judgment. He has no idea to what extent this perversion and what ramifications are resulted from a false judgment because of bribery. שהדבר יש לו רגליים, ועוד שהוא מחזיק ידי זה שהיטו לו הדין ומחתי עושו. So let's give a case. Someone is in a dispute about business, a dispute about something, whatever it may be. FBI comes, they raid his home. So it's in the news, everybody knows about this. Wow, it's terrible. Okay. Now what happens, it was really a mistake. They went to the wrong house. Right now, how are you restoring this person's job? He lost his job. I know somebody, by the way, that this happened to. He was working, I'm not going to say what industry he was in, but one day FBI agents come into his office and arrest him in front of all of his coworkers. And they walk him out, and he's in court. I get a phone call from his wife, frantic, that he was just picked up by the FBI, and I have to go to the downtown. He's having a trial, a first hearing, whatever it was, and then he was in court for 2 years fighting with the agencies, and then it turned out they got the wrong guy. It wasn't even him. It turned out it wasn't him. He had a Russian name. They thought he was the guy they were looking for, and he wasn't. And now what are you going to do? The guy lost his job. He lost his marriage. He lost his home. To restore all the damage that was done, and it was all a mistake. What do you think? They're apologizing him and calling his employer saying, you could take it back in? They're like, no. What does that mean? He's banned from ever working in that company again. Why? Because someone who is accused wrongly, someone who is not dealt with in the right way, and now is impacted by it, it's a devastating impact. A devastating impact because now you ruin their whole life. You ruin their children don't want to talk to them, whatever it may be. You can imagine the damage that happens. And that was all by mistake. They picked the wrong guy. It's simple. Yeah, but by the time the judgment came through, it was already too late. Marriage was gone, the job was gone, everything was gone. So this is a tragic result. Imagine if we do that, God forbid, in our community, in our congregations. If, God forbid, someone accuses their fellow wrongly. You stole, you cheated, you this, you broke the contract, you weren't honest, you weren't this, and then it turns out it was the wrong. It wasn't cameraman, it was camera blatt. You know what I mean? It was a different name. I didn't know. It was the same thing. I thought it was the same. And by that time already, it's all gone. It's like they say that when you accuse someone wrongly, well, you remember the thing with the pillows? Like you take all the feathers out of the pillow, right? Once the feathers are out of the pillow, you can't put them back in. Once all of those rumors go around, it's too late to put it back in. And that is a tragedy. Okay, so of the 24 things that we talked about, there's also things, there's 5 things, yesh chamisha dvarim ha'osa osan ein chezkaso loshuv mehem. It's very difficult to return from them as well. Lefishim dvarim kalim be'einei rov, because in most people's eyes, it's not a big deal. Not because you don't know who it is, because it's not a big deal. It's such a big deal. What are they? It turns out that this person sins. He doesn't even realize that what he did was a sin. Okay, that's why, because it seems simple. What are they? What do you think they are? What's something which is so simple? You want to hear an amazing halacha? Amazing halacha. It says that you cannot eat from a meal that is not enough for its master. Meaning, if someone has a little bit of lunch, he has to tell a little bit of, he brought a little sandwich. You say, hey, can I get some of your sandwich? Right? If he's not going to eat enough of a sandwich, he's going to be hungry. So that's considered a meal that's not enough. Suda she'ena maspekes l'ba'aleh. Ha'ochel mesuda she'ena maspekes l'ba'aleh. You see someone sitting down, you say, hey, you sit down with them, even if you're best friends, you drink some of his beer. He doesn't have enough for himself almost, right? It's a little beer, right? Or whatever the food is. And you take away some of what their sustenance is, shezeh avak gezel, this is a form of, it's called the dust of theft. It's not exactly thievery, because the guy let you, but he was sort of pressured. It's like, he only has a little bag of potato chips, and that's it he has to eat today, and now you ate half of his bag. You understand? Something to be very, very cautious of. Again, su'uda she'ena maspekes l'ba'aleh, a meal that is not enough to satiate its master. So now you're taking half of their meal, they're going to be hungry. Kigon adam shenichnas lebeis ani v'hu masmin lo harbe ve'eno ose birotzon libo elo shehu mizbayesh mimeno lahasmin ma'at v'zen nir lo shelo chata b'zeh ki hu choshev she'ochel birshuso v'lo bal korcho. It says an example of this is someone entering a poor man's home and having food in abundance set before him, not out of goodwill of the poor man, but rather because he is ashamed to offer his guest a small portion, in which case the guest feels that he has not sinned, as the poor man has fed him voluntarily and has not been coerced to do so. So imagine this. You're a guest in a poor man's home. He now is embarrassed. He doesn't want to not feed you enough. So he overextends himself beyond what he's capable of. This is another form of this. So now you made him spend money on you that he doesn't have. Got to be careful about this. The second thing, what is that? V'amishtamesh ba'avoto shel oni, afilu eino elo kardom umachresho, ve'omer belibo lo chisarti mehem, ve'harei lo gazalti. He says, if someone takes out a loan, what do you need to do to receive a loan? You give collateral. All right? So if I come and I borrow your car, I borrow money. So you'll say, okay, do you have a drill? Give me the drill. Okay, now you're holding on to the poor man's drill. You say, you know what? It won't hurt him if I use the drill. Right? I'll just use the drill. It's not a big deal. I have it anyways, collateral. Might as well use it. I just have a few screws to drill into the wall. It's not a big deal, right? But that is a form of theft. It's a form of theft. And such a person thinks to himself, I didn't do anything wrong. What did I do wrong? You have to ask forgiveness. but he doesn't even know that it is, because he considers it to be nothing. It's not a big deal, but it's theft. One who gazes at women, which could bring a person to desires and to urges, and this is inappropriate. He says, what's the problem? No harm, no foul. What did I do? I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't kill anybody, right? Or karafti etzla, did I do something with the woman? I didn't. I just feasted my eyes in the sight that I saw. V'hu einu yodea shiriyas ha'ayin oven godol shehigoremis legufon shel aroyos shenemar v'lo sasur achilavavchem v'rachinechem. He doesn't know that he's actually, the verse states, and do not go astray after your heart and after your eyes. Right? It's going astray, even though you say, I didn't do anything. Didn't do anything. I didn't act upon it, right? But still, it's considered something which is in the realm of inappropriateness. Someone who aggrandizes himself through the disparagement of someone else. You take honor. Oh, I'm better than this guy. I'm more reliable than him, right? I'm more trustworthy. My business deals are better than his, right? And people can not. It's fine if you say that you're good and you're trustworthy, but why on the account of somebody else? It's called hamiskabed b'klon chavero. Omer belibo. He says she'eno chet. The person says to himself, a person who talks like that, says it's not a sin. Lefi she'en chavero omer etzlo v'lo gia lo boshes v'lo b'yisho. He says, my friend is not sitting right here. He wasn't embarrassed. He says, imagine someone says, I don't know, should I invest with you or should I invest with Joe Schmo? He says, Joe Schmo, watch out for him, right? He said, he wasn't there. Joe Schmo wasn't there in front of you. And therefore, you say, like, what? I didn't embarrass him. He wasn't there. He doesn't even know that I spoke about him. It was just for me to close the deal. But you're doing it on someone else's back. Elohu orach masav hatovim. He only talked about his own good deeds. So he talked about his own wisdom, his own sharpness. Contrasting it to his friend. And his sharpness and abilities. But because in the ears and in the eyes of the listener, you're elevating yourself by knocking the other guy down. And therefore, it's considered another form of a forgiveness that one needs to attain. Next, the fifth, and that is v'hachoshed b'chsherim, someone who wrongfully judges their fellow when they're innocent. Omer b'libo she'eino choteh, a person who does that, who judges someone unfavorably, thinks it's not a sin. Lefi shuhu omer ma'asisu, I didn't do anything to him. He says, I only suspected. I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. I just suspected that he, it turns out I was wrong. Okay, big deal. No harm, no foul. But this person doesn't realize that this is a grave sin. Because in your eyes, you're saying about somebody who's innocent that he's guilty. Someone that is holy, you're saying that he's unholy. And it's just a suspicion alone. And therefore, so these are the things the author of the Orchot Tzaddikim is guiding us. He's guiding us that we have to be so careful about how we interact with other people. We're not talking about where you embarrass someone in public and everybody knows and everybody saw it and 6 people came to you and said, you should probably apologize. Right? That we know. Those are the sins we know. But judging someone with the lack of favorability, that's not such a big deal. It's just me within myself. I suspected that he was not doing something right, and it turns out I was wrong. So big deal. You have to go and ask forgiveness. These are things when we're talking about teshuvah. If we want complete and total. Now, why is it important? Why is it important? Because our sages teach us that exactly the way you judge others is the way you will be judged What does that mean? What does that mean? So let's give an example here. Imagine the following. Imagine you come up to the heavenly courts and God says, ooh, look who's here. I have someone who's a fresh set of eyes. Come, we want to show you a video about someone's life. And we want you to tell us how we should judge this person. And you don't realize, but the person you're judging and you're seeing in that video is yourself. So the way in which you train yourself, our sages teach us, to judge others is the way you will end up being judged. Because you're going to be your own judge. You're going to be looking at that video of the person, but you can't see their face. You don't know who they are. You're not going to recognize them. And you'll be like, oh, this guy's terrible. Because that's the way we trained ourselves to judge. But if we learn and train ourselves to judge favorably, then when we see the video of ourselves, we say, oh, he really meant well. Because, by the way, that's what we do for ourselves. Right? How many times do we say to ourselves, you know something? How is this guy driving? This guy is such a terrible. Look at so cutting into the lane. He's so not courteous. What's wrong with this guy? But if God forbid it's us, everybody understands I'm in a rush. I'm late to my meeting. I got to get there on time. Everybody knows, right? We think everybody judges us favorably, but we can never judge other people favorably. We have to train ourselves to judge ourselves the way we want to be judged. You want to be given the benefit of the doubt, give others the benefit of the doubt. So that, my dear friends, concludes day number 156.
You've been listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe on a podcast produced by Torch, the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. Please help sponsor an episode so we can continue to produce more quality Jewish content for our listeners around the globe. Please visit torchweb.org to donate and partner with us on this incredible endeavor.